The locked rabbet joint, which you see here on this drawer box, is a simple, basically machine-made joint that is a very serviceable for a medium strength box, drawer, or a tray. Okay, I want to show you first off the layout of this joint. What you've got is a dado here, and then the rabbet that goes into the dado, and this dado locks the rabbet in, thus the name locked rabbet joint. And you got to think of what's the final use of this piece. Where are the forces going to be? On this drawer, the forces are going to be on the front here, okay, like this. So you've got to make sure that you make it so that the strongest part is there. So look at this piece here. I pull it like this, it's very strong. If I had turned it around this way, I pull it out, and this is the inherent weakness there. Come on over to the table saw and we'll set up the machine for the first half of this joint. The first thing I'm going to do is set the height of the blade, and I'll use any piece of scrap wood for this, because all I want to do is know that I have set that blade a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch deep. So here, I use these keyway keys because I can put this in. It tells me, first of all, did I set the dado blade correctly, because I know that 1/4 inch dado, if I put this keyway in here, it should be snug. If it's loose or too tight, then I know that I set the dado blade wrong. And it's another way of measuring. This way I can tell exactly where I am. And I want it to be a hair deeper than 1/4 of an inch. I have the depth set, and now I want to set the fence. So I'm going to use the fence in combination with the miter gauge, and I'm going to put this here, and I need to know where to set that fence. So I'm going to use the actual stock, the actual thickness of the stock, and I'm going to bring it up to the blade, and I want to have that tooth just a little bit proud of the surface. I have the depth set and I have my fence set. I've already checked that my miter gauge is cutting square, okay, and I'm going to come up consistently to the same place on the fence. My fence isn't exactly parallel or something is a little bit out. At least this way I know that I'm consistent to how I set it up. Okay, do a nice cut like that. To make sure that I did locate this correctly, I'll put this in here like this against that, and then see if I got that little nub, and I have a small nub there, so that'll do it. After you finish these cuts here, then you have to reset for the fitting cut, which is that one there. So now you've finished the dados here, and you would reset the saw to do your rabbet, but I'm going to cheat. I have 2 saws here, so I'm going to go to the other saw. I'll raise the blade up enough so that what I'm removing is leaving enough wood to just fit into my dado. And it might not fit exactly right off the saw, but usually it's pretty close. Okay, I'll take pieces that I ran at the same time as the rest of it, and I'll check it, and I'll creep up a little bit at a time, and I'll just cut a little bit. I don't need a huge amount cut to see if I'm in the ballpark. And that feels a little tight, so let's raise up the blade a little bit. Okay, and that's a little bit too tight, but it's not a problem. I'll either have to take a shoulder plane and take one pass off of here to make it fit, or the next piece that I cut might fit perfectly. You'll find that there are little variations in the thickness of the stock. Okay, and a couple thousandths of an inch variation is going to make a huge difference in the fit of what's coming off the saw. Now the next thing to do is set the length of the rabbet. And if you remember the length of that rabbet, this is 1/4 of an inch because the depth of this is 1/4 of an inch plus a hair. So I'm going to go 1/4 inch. I've got a 1/4 inch data blade in there. So I'm going to bring this sacrificial fence up to my blade, okay, and that's going to expose 1/4 of an inch of blade. Now I'm going to cut just a small amount and just check it. You can make sure that that's 1/4 of an inch, and it looks like it needs to be just a hair more. So I'm going to move this fence out just a hair. So here's my 1/4 inch length, and that will go into the dado, which is just a little bit deeper than 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so let's check and see how this fits into the real thing. Okay, here's our front and back of the drawer. Now we run all of these. And you notice when I do this, I'm not running it across the blade as fast as I can. I'm letting the blade cut the wood. Now let's see how it fits. Okay, we're off of the saw, and we want to put this rabbet into that dado. And let's see. You don't want to be pushing real hard, but you want it, that's not bad at all. You want it firm, okay? So that's pretty good. So that one's good. This one's good. Okay, that comes together easily. If it's a little bit loose, it's not the end of the world, but you want to have it, you know, a nice mechanical fit. This one feels a little bit tight. Okay, so that means that either when I went across on the dado blade, I wasn't holding down enough, or I went too fast. The table saw is already turned off. I can take a shoulder plane here and a quick pass, and that'll probably do it. Simple joint that you can use for all sorts of different things.